They tell me the microphone is on, is it? You can hear me okay? Good. Thanks very much for coming, and congratulations to the one man in the audience. He's a brave man. Good to Yeah, okay. It's so nice to see you here. This is going to be very casual because we're all familiar with the wonderful Atwater Library. I'll be talking about that in a little while. In any case, duh, but okay. I'm a technical wizard. Watch that. Bonjour, hi. But you're not supposed to say that these days, are you? Bonjour, hi. Everybody, well, a lot of the governments frown on it and that sort of thing. So I came up with an alternative, particularly for visiting American tourists. Bonjour, yo, right? My name is Terry Mosher. That's me with a pencil through my ears. It's been my self-portrait for years now. I just age it every couple of years. I add a few more lines. Recently, I added the white eyebrows and so on. So it's sort of it's me, I guess. This is Jason. He's our technical wizard around here.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
All right. Okay. And this is Jacques Goldstyn, Boris, my wonderful friend here. Isn't that a delightful self-portrait? It was drawn during COVID, and he had a mask on just to put a smile on his face. We're very lucky to have him at the Gazette. He's an award winner. He's known all around the world as a children's book illustrator, and it's just terrific to have him. So thank you. Okay. Oops. This is kind of his ideal studio. Look at how much fun that is. All the things that interest him. Telescopes, a cup of tea, a cat sitting on his watercolors and his paintings. Just a delightful thing. And then the outside and sharks and so on. He's a man of many, many interests, but he'll tell you about that in a little bit. This is my studio. It's in my basement in Lachine. This is where it all gets done. Here I put together cartoons. I design books with my wife and partner, Mary. And I get my news here. And then when I'm all done reading a book, whatever, I go upstairs to my wife and my dog. Oops, okay. Let me show you. It's very simple what we do. It's really quite simple. So, you know, Francois Legault comes out with this wonderful livery. I have Guy Lafleur's sweater, you know, hanging on my office wall. Except, well, he's a rich man. Did he pay for it? No, we paid for it. And that comes to how much did it cost him? $1,200, and we paid for that. And of course, huh? What?
It's framed.
Yeah, it's framed, plus the frame, yeah. In any case, all right, this is what we do. Jacques sees this in the paper, and if you haven't bought today's Gazette, this is his. Isn't that gorgeous? You know, a little guy in a giant sweater and all of that. So you can read whatever you want into it, and we like doing that. We like people to read different things in. And sometimes they even get it wrong, but that's okay. They're interested. They're watching. So Jacques and I are starting to do a lot of these presentations. We did it to a group of journalists. We'll do this, that, and the other. And it's fun to do because it can be bilingual, French, English, whatever you want. And we're talking about our favorite city, Montreal. So if you have a group who you think might want to have us present, we're available, right? You available, pal? Okay. Now, come on.
It's not switching.
Hmm?
It's not switching.
So press on that one. Okay. We're good. I'm going to have Jacques come up and tell you a little bit about. Some of you may not be familiar what a tremendous man and an intriguing man he is. So, Jacques, s'il vous plaît.
Yes.
Votre micro, c'est quoi?
Yes, you hear me? Oh, over here? Okay. So this is Armand Brière. But before talking about him, I just want to show you the paper because this is today's paper, and you have the cartoon printed in the Gazette. And this is a wonderful feeling to have something printed. And every time I've got the same feeling as when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I was 18 or 20 years old, and I first saw my drawing printed. That was in the small magazines. It is, you're somebody. I mean, this is wonderful. And fortunately, the Gazette is still a paper, whereas La Presse is not a paper anymore. But there's really something. There, you know, you're in the metro, you're in the bus, and you. This is magical. So Armand Brière, who is he? He was the director of my school, my school. I grew up in Verdun, not far away from here, and
Jacques?
yes.
Geography. It's down that way.
Oh, is that's right. That's right. So there's down the hill at Atwater, you have Pointe Saint-Charles and you have Verdun, and Verdun is when we wanted to get into the city, we got to Atwater, and that's where Montreal started with the Montreal Forum and all that stuff. But I was in Verdun, and Verdun is a very special little town, and we have Armand Brière, who was the director of the school. Why I talk about him? This is his shoes. I was really impressed. I was 8 or 9 years old, and he had little holes in his shoes, and he was walking, and there was a squeaky sound, and he had 4 buttons on his sleeves, whereas my father had only 2 buttons. So he was like a colonel compared to a lieutenant, my father. And one day he came to our class and he asked everybody, "What do you want to become?" Alors, qu'est-ce que vous voulez faire dans la vie plus tard? So there's Jean Poirier, my friend, who wanted to become a fireman. Sylvain Robidoux wanted to become a policeman, and Gaëtan Joly wanted to become a hockey player. And he asked me, "What do you want to be in your life?" And I said, "I want to be a designer. I want to be a dessinateur." And he said, "Oh, great, dessinateur technique, technical designer, like working for engineers or architects." And I said, no, I want to be, I want to have fun. I want to draw cartoons, like these guys, and he told me something that changed my life. He told me, if you go into that field, you will never put butter on your bread. And this means that you're going to be poor. And I said, no, I need a plan B. So I decided to be very serious. I studied chemistry. I was not the best in the class, but I had interest in sciences, chemistry, physics, math. But once in a while, I would come back to my drawings, and when I understood the matter, So I studied at university. I became a geologist. I went to work in Val d'Or. I work in a gold mine, and yes, I found gold. And I went also to Calgary, and I worked in petroleum geology. And fortunately, one day I came back to drawing. Terry.
We're not the largest city in Canada anymore. We're certainly not the richest city, but we're the most interesting city. We have phenomenal history here. And origins, very much Catholic origins because of the influx of individuals from France and so on. And our best known symbol. Actually, I wanted to mention that Mark Twain visited, I think, in the late 19th century, and he said, the interesting thing about Montreal is throw a brick anywhere in Montreal, and it'll go through a church window. And that sort of was the attitude for the longest time here, but times have kind of changed. Let me see. The original cross, they walked up the hill with it from the fort and walked up the difficult hill dragging a cross. That was the first cross, representing Christianity. Something you won't read in the history books is that along the way they slapped mosquitoes and shot a few Indians. They just get us out of the way. Times were very different back then. So here they're taking, I find this ironic, that they're taking a Christian cross up the hill and killing people. Well, hey. And it stays today. Again, this is not in the history books, but it's 100 years old, the cross, the modern cross. But times have changed. Religion is now hockey. And so I drew the hockey sweater and this was in 2008, saying that, it doesn't matter your political persuasion, who you are, what you are, we all love hockey. It's become the new Catholicism, really, in Canada, when you think of it. And on the French side of it, they were commenting on this too, and used my thing on a cover of a book about it being the new religion in Montreal. And think about it, it is. It's the thing that unites us, it gels us, it's a wonderful thing. Even if we're in last place, we stay loyal. I want to thank you all for coming this morning, by the way. It's not always easy. You can't get there from here. And this sort of is the new symbol along with Montreal, of course, and detour signs. But Jacques has kind of developed a love affair with these cones. He puts them in cartoons all the time. It's quite wonderful. Look at the two raccoons going at it down there. This is what I love about Jacques' work. He draws very differently from me. We have the same political persuasion. We believe in decency and a better world. But he draws so differently, so it keeps Gazette readers interested in these different styles and when they come out. The New York Times called Montreal a few years ago the best cycling city in North America. Well, not always. We spend a lot of money filling in those potholes. But then spring arrives, and we're much happier for it. Sometimes it arrives a little late, but nevertheless it comes along. And then the Jazz Festival, and then we just come alive with these wonderful festivals, don't we? It's just a great place to be. The Jazz Festival is one of the largest in the world, by the way, and continues to be so. We hear wonderful visiting artists. But this led to one of my most popular cartoons. I was this kind of happened. I was downtown during the Jazz Festival, and there's three Americans who are talking about a sign on the wall. They're looking up at this sign on the wall, and they're saying, what's that sign say? A lover with a phone number. That was in 1999, and it still holds. And then summer. Tourists don't realize how hot it can actually get here in the summer. And here's Jacques trying to get around again. Ralph, I want a bike.
Yeah.
And another of Jacques' wonderful thing. Don't worry, this isn't another virus. It's just the usual seasonal allergies. Jacques, do you want to take it over?
Yeah. So this is interesting because Terry and I, we have different styles, and this is there should be more cartoonists in the same paper. It's fun, and I feel very, very gifted because Terry saw my work. That was 6 years ago. No, that was in 2006. No, 2016. So that's 8 years ago. And he invited me at the Gazette. So I draw once a week, and that's enough for me. But this is an immense privilege. This is wonderful to wake up in the morning, and you're still in bed, and you have this idea, and you wake up your wife, and you say, "Oh, I have this idea, I have this," and she says, "Let me have my first coffee first," and you're all excited, and you go and talk to your kids, and they like the cartoon, and you say, "Okay, I've got it. This is a good idea." So this is refreshing, and it keeps you young, you know, because I'm a newcomer in cartoonists, at least at the Gazette, and I'm 66 years old. So you know, there's still hope, you know. You're just and what's the next one? Oh yeah, so yeah, Montreal symbols. The cross, actually, it has 100 years old. So Quebec homeless population almost doubled in 4 years. And this is part of Montreal. There are wonderful things in Montreal, but there's also we have to think about the homeless. Just next to the library, you have this homeless shelter, and go and visit it. It's very, people working there are doing wonderful things. You have different different people working in every field, in every. So this is very important.
Okay, we're okay.
Okay, the next one.
Maybe just stay here.
So we have homeless people also. The big O used to shelter refugees. At last, a roof over our heads. Don't count on it. So just an idea also, they're going to replace the roof of the big O, and I think it will cost $8 million. Is that $8 million? No, that's $872 million. So the numbers are just astonishing. This is incredible. But thank God, you know, we have the stadium for the baseball, and we have the stadium for the. Oh no, they're not playing anymore. No. And you don't have football, you don't have tennis. So at least it makes good cartoons. About the homeless also, we're taking care of the cats, the stray cats in Montreal, and we have this homeless person who's there's, you know, this is part also of Montreal.
I love his cats.
Yeah, I try to draw a cat in every cartoon also.
Is that my dog Sparky in the corner?
Yes, that's Sparky. Yes. Sometimes I draw. You'll see I draw Terry also. This is I like simple cartoons. It's something that I learned from Terry, because when you have wordless cartoons, they're the best, or just one or two words. This is the best. So this is a good representation, a good allegory of Montreal or Quebec. So this is the representation of two solitudes. You have the Québécois, who are on the 1st of July, they are moving, and whereas you have the Anglos who celebrate the 1st of July and Canada Day. And it's fun to explain that to foreigners also, you know, when they come to Montreal, and you know what's going on Canada the first day. So pousse, tire. But Montreal, despite the conflicts between the Anglos and the French, it's a very safe city. It's a very friendly city, and everybody will say that. And you have terrible conflicts like on this cartoon, but it stays in cartoons from my point of view. We're not in the Middle East, we're not in Russia, we're not in Ukraine, we're not in Yemen. So we have to think that we are very fortunate, and we can make fun of our differences. And here we have, you can see Terry in the front here with his pen, and he's, I don't know, he's fighting Bonhomme Carnaval or whatever. But it's fun to draw Terry. He's very easy to cartoon. Thank God, it's a gift from God. And you have these.
I love the cat again. You see the cat on it?
Where is he? Oh, the cat with the two little fellows and the symbols of Montreal Canadians, and you know. So, and it's interesting also graphically to put just a little color on just. You don't have to color everything. Sometimes just a little color will do the job. This cartoon is inspired by a very famous photo by Robert Doisneau. He was a French photographer, and this is called Le baiser de l'Hôtel de Ville, the kiss of the city hall in front of Paris, a picture that was taken in 1948, a beautiful photo. And so that inspired me when there was the demonstrations on the McGill campus. So I imagined two sympathizers, one for Israel and the other one from Palestine. And this reflects what I think, the future lies in a kiss. I mean, you have to get together, you have to forget about, don't kill each other, don't bomb each other, just get together and make babies, that's the solution. And surprisingly, this picture was refused by the Gazette because they said that it was too provocative. Whereas I can draw bombs being dropped, destruction in Gaza.
Yeah.
There doesn't seem to be a problem with that. But two people kissing, there might be some misinterpretation, they told me, and whatever. Since I'm freelance, I proposed a cartoon to La Presse, who printed the cartoon.
So La Presse printed it. The Gazette was just skitterish because all the demonstrations were going on, and they have to deal with the mail. No matter what you do, just let me know.
Yeah.
No matter what you do on the Jewish Muslim question, you're going to get tons of mail from one side or the other. And editors, you should see their expressions when you draw something like that, and they just go, "Oh Jesus, no, Terry, please, no."
Yeah, but
So people we all have our point of view, and most of us just want a sensible solution in the Middle East, never mind anyway. So I understand the big little skitterish, particularly that day. Another day they might have printed it. So anyway, I just want to explain it.
But things have changed, with the internet and with the social medias, and I understand the editors also because they don't want that problems like that. You cannot imagine how it can be very, very terrible. Another cartoon here on the McGill campus. So all the attention is drawn to the demonstrators, and you have this poor guy who's been on the campus or near the campus for years, and nobody sees him. Somebody said, a French cartoonist named Riss said that a wordless cartoon is the Rolls-Royce of cartoons, and that's true because that's you have Guy Lafleur, our god, who is on the pedestal here, and you have the statue of Monseigneur Bourget, who was the idol of 19th century Quebec, of Catholicism. And you have people that when 2 years ago, Guy Lafleur passed away. It was a national tragedy. So it really represents Montreal, the cathedral, the Queen Elizabeth. And just a block away, you have the pedestal of the statue of John A. Macdonald, who was our first prime minister. And it's kind of it's interesting to learn about history. What happened exactly? He was a very important figure in Canada, and now the statue disappeared and is somewhere in a warehouse. And the birds are longing for a statue or for something to replace that.
And the cat.
And the cat also. Terry?
Yeah. Hi. I want to say a couple of words about our wonderful Atwater Library. I did this sketchbook quite a few years ago. I just said to the Gazette, I like to do sketchbooks. I go around the world and do sketchbooks. I have during my whole, how many years? 58 years of cartooning. I go here, there, and everywhere. I can't do it anymore because there's no more budget for it. But once I said I want to do something local. I love the Atwater Library. It's the first library I ever went to when I was 9 or 10 years old. I asked my mother a question about the American Civil War. We just lived up the street here on Lincoln Avenue. And I said, what is Bull Run, Mom? She said, go over to the Atwater Library. There's very nice people that are working there. And ask them, how do I use an index card? And I did. And I've been hooked on libraries, but I'm particularly fond of the Atwater. So the Gazette said, yeah, do it. So we did a couple of page spread with Marion Scott, our great reporter, on the Atwater. And I had a lot of fun with it. Here's somebody returning her books. It is the oldest, I believe, lending library in Canada. Somebody in Quebec's giving you an argument on that, but to hell with them, Len. You're the oldest, okay? Great volunteer staff primarily. So I turned them into cartoons, volunteer work at the front desk. A book, you say. Look up, da-da-da-da-da. And here's a woman working away at the computer. It's a very good computer center. They help people out. And in behind are the index cards. And those are probably the same index cards I looked at way back in 1952. I mean, they're a wonderful, wonderful relic. There's Lynn Verge working in her office, and one of the original founders wondering what Google is. And the reading room, looking spruced up, but looking very much like the reading room I went to look up. So you understand my fondness for the Atwater. People love to come and watch people deliver, and like particularly ladies of a certain age. Nice buns. And the computer help out, computer classes, plotka. Press lots of keys to abort. I've done that many times. But mostly the nooks and crannies. You find people tucked away, reading a book, or doing this, that, or the other. It's an old-fashioned, wonderful library, and I just love the place. And will continue to support it for as long as I can. They have exhibitions here. Downstairs we have one, I'll tell you about it in a minute. Downstairs, one exhibition by Gigot, who also contributes paintings occasionally to the Gazette editorial page. We got a real institution going here. She does these wonderful watercolors of Montreal scenes. NDG skating rink, of course, we all know that. 2 Ukrainian churches in Lachine, 2 of them. So it gets a little political. That's Gigot. I'm with her. She happens to be my wife. So like I say, we own the place, right? And just last week, we hosted here and at the McCord Museum, wonderful McCord Museum, another great institution, we hosted an international gathering of political cartoonists and had a terrific time talking trade and that sort of thing. So some really great people, including Barry Blitt. Oh, no, wrong. There's Barry Blitt. Barry Blitt is, I guess, the best known Canadian cartoonist in the world because he does covers for the New Yorker. All of it, he won a Pulitzer Prize. And he was born in Côte Saint-Luc. A lot of people don't know that. But anyway, he's a wonderful guy, does terrific cartoons. It was a pleasure to have him here. And Leonard Cohen. That's me talking to Leonard Cohen in a bar in the 70s. He came out to an exhibition of mine, and we're both praying to Buddha there. We were actually probably talking about the Atwater because it was also Leonard Cohen's favorite library. He would drop in, and they have this wonderful book of him signing for my dear Atwater Library, Leonard Cohen, 1964. Also, what I like about Montreal, and it's true in many cities, but the history within each neighborhood. You can say the Forum is just up here, for God's sake, the original Forum. And then there's a high school just a few blocks away where Kamala Harris went to high school. I mean, all of these wonderful things wandering through any neighborhood, particularly downtown. There she is from her yearbook. She also said in an interview when talking about Montreal, she said, well, it's too damn cold. And whenever anybody speaks French to me, I just say, quoi, quoi, quoi. I feel like a duck. But what she said about Montreal was it's a wonderful, just multicultural city, and it's safe. She was from California, and of course she went home. So that's a little, but we haven't even put up a plaque yet. We're Canadians. We kind of take our time. Oops. Got ahead of myself there. Backwards here. Got it, okay. Politicians pretend to like us. Welcome us, they come out to our openings, this, that, and the other. They don't, really, they don't. I mean, nobody loves being ridiculed, but it's a part of a democracy and they have to kind of put up with it. So here I am in the Prime Minister's office giving him a copy of a book I did a few years ago. And yet I still get away with doing, well, this is when he returned from India, do you remember? All dandied up. Jean Chrétien, too, had strangled the demonstrator, if you remember, years ago. So I drew him strangling Joe Clark when he briefly, and then he came to we had a book signing together at Sheraton Hotel or something. He showed up and he was very nice, but then sort of a faux Shawinigan handshake, right? Now, in this very room, a few years later, I was promoting another book, and Brian Mulroney showed up. And I showed him the photo of Chrétien. He said, God, Terry, that looks like fun. Do you mind? Oscar Peterson, born just down the hill. Again, within the confines of this little neighborhood here. And of course, wonderful murals of Oliver Jones and Oscar Peterson. Montreal is one of the top cities for outdoor art, for street art in the world. That, and I would say Melbourne, Australia. Look at these things we have to enjoy, you know, as we wander around the city. Quite wonderful. And of course, the Leonard Cohen, the most recent one. It's wonderful, isn't it? But I played with this. A friend of mine, Matthew Cope, who you may remember, took a beautiful photograph of downtown, featuring right in the middle there, the Leonard Cohen mural. I contacted him, I said, do you mind if I do kind of one of these photo collages? I'd like to touch up your Leonard Cohen. This was during the time of COVID. He said, yeah, Terry, go ahead. So this is one of my popular cartoons. I put a mask on him. As Jacques had mentioned, it's the instantness of being a political cartoonist, where you think of it the day before and the next day it's in the newspaper. It's really very, very satisfying. Yeah, real painting sells for 7.4 million, and there's some street artist just putting it together by Boris. I think it's your turn, Boris. Hold on, let me check. Oscar Peterson. I think that's it. Actually, not yet. Okay,
No,
here we
not
go.
yet.
No, okay. So we got Leonard Cohen, that one. I mean, Banksy has an exhibition here, and I consider him to be the most effective political and social cartoonist in the world today. because of this street art as it was originally meant. You know, originally it was, prints were distributed through fly leaves, they call them, with political comment in England and France way back in the 16th century. Now, this is how most people think of Montreal. Dead of winter. I love this one. Look at the faces. Look at the faces there in Jacques' drawing.
Yeah, it's unbelievable because we don't realize that, you know, we have a gorgeous day today. It's fall, and you know, there's no slush, there's no ice, there's no salt, and just imagine in 2 months it'll be like this, you know. Oh my God! But it's fun to draw.
Yeah, it's fun to draw. Actually, this is the flag of Canada. I think they've got it all wrong. I think this should be the flag of Canada. February. Let me talk to you about February. The Christmas bills have come in. It's miserable out there. Nothing's white anymore. Everything's gray. It's all gray, and you're wandering along. You're just trying to get through February. And April, May seem like months away. Okay. So the United States. Now, I'm not going to get into the thing on the United States because it's too easy. It's just too easy to draw all that situation down there. But what the fuck, right? I mean, but we do like to go to the United States because we love their beaches, right? We love their beaches. You know, it's such a relief in February. Let me tell you one of my favorite stories about cartooning. Oh yeah, okay. Here we go. That was never printed, but it's my most famous unpublished cartoon. Bill Clinton came to town 2022, I think it was. He was giving a speech to raise $1 million for the Children's Hospital just across the way here. The organizers called me and said, "Terry, we'd like to do something unusual for the former president. Maybe could you do a drawing of him, and could you be nice for a change?" Well, I didn't want to do it, but my wife said, "For Christ's sake, Terry, just get over it. He's raising $1 million for," and so I said I'd do it. So the way sometimes cartoons will just start out with a line, but why Montreal in February? Why do you come in February, Mr. President? Here we go. Why not July? He could play his saxophone, you know, in July, wonderful month in Montreal. Maybe even appear on wonderful jazz festival posters. And everybody loved it. Here he is, I'm presenting it to him at Place des Arts. And he still has that drawing hanging on his office wall in Harlem. The Gazette put it on the front page. Everybody loved the drawing, except me. I thought I'd rather give him this drawing. And I got a sneaking suspicion Bill Clinton would have liked that too. All right, so Montreal, all of our foibles, this, that, and the other. The mayor very happily on a bicycle going through Montreal. Celebrate. This is after she'd won her second term as mayor. And of course, it's not always that easy for her to get around on a bicycle. That was during COVID and construction and that sort of thing. And the issue of people leaving after the election of the PQ in 1976, if you remember. This is the most famous cartoon I've ever drawn. It's René Lévesque saying, "Okay, everybody take a Valium." It appeared the day after in the Gazette on the editorial page. And it created a little safety valve, first of all. And people said, yeah, we're still walking. I'm talking about the English population. We're still okay. And most of us took a Valium. Most of us stayed. We did. At the time, functional bilingualism was 35%. It's now 82% amongst Anglophones. We took our Valium. We settled in. But a lot of people didn't. A lot of people left. Did I show them that? But things gradually have changed. People missed Montreal. I hear from people all over the country. They still desperately miss Montreal. I just did a book on the Montreal Expos, and I'm getting orders from Portugal, from Vancouver, from all over the place, from people who used to live here, loved the baseball team, at a magic time when we were a major league city. They still miss it. They miss downtown, and some are even returning. Our kids, all kinds of people. I love the influx of people coming from Paris. Go downtown now, and the Parisians are running all kinds of shops. They just love the place. So we're still very happy to be here. Look, Jacques and I enjoy this. We enjoy giving presentations. If you're interested, let us know. At the back, that's my Expos book. I'd be delighted to sign one of those for you, or perhaps an Expos fan you know. I also, it's filled with cartoons of Tim Raines, about a couple of hundred cartoons of former baseball players. I also have some copies left of a book I did a few years ago of my favorite cartoons by cartoonists drawn all over the world. And I'm very proud of that book. Jacques, of course, has some drawings in it. And Jacques has a couple of his, did I mention that he won a Governor General Award for books he's done and so on? A terrific guy. So he has some books that he'll sign for you. That's the book that won the Governor General's Award, The 11th Hour. Back there is Monica. Monica, you there? Yeah, she's there. She's waving. Monica is our new publicist, and she'd be delighted to have us books signed for you if you want. By the way, a percentage of these books, mine is going to the Children's Hospital, but also to the Atwater Library. Anyway, thank you, Atwater. Okay, great.
Well, thank you, Terry and Jacques. We really treasure your involvement with our organization. We have time for a couple of questions. Anyone in the in-person audience want to ask something? I'm coming with the mic so the Zoom audience can hear.
I wanted to know if you do other kind of art also, a part of caricaturing, do you do other kind of work?
Jacques?
Artwork also?
Jacques does.
Well, I work for, I write stories for children, and well, sometimes when I'm on my bicycle and I stop under a special place in a lane, sometimes I might draw a cat somewhere. Other than that, no, not really. Petit Nicolas, he was a character drawn by Sampé. Sampé was was inspired by him. Actually, he worked for the New Yorker for many, many years. Great illustrator. And thank you for comparing me to him. I mean, he's an inspiration. Yes. And the more simple, the best. And in a certain way, that's something I learned in cartooning with Terry. I mean, I used to put too many things in my drawing. Of course, I like to put details, but I mean, you've got to go to the essential. And this is, it takes time. Maybe in 20 years, I'll be at I'll reach my goal.
Okay. Last question from the Zoom audience. Margaret Black and Alwyn Costin are asking Terry and Jacques, do you have any thoughts on the dismissal of Michael de Adder from the Maritimes Halifax Chronicle Herald? There was a controversy about one of his cartoons recently, and he was let go.
Sure, I do. Have you got 3 hours? It's a very big, complicated issue. Michael's a controversial cartoonist, but a very good one, and he's won all kinds of prizes. But we also work for people called Postmedia, and they're always cutting corners to save money. They have two cartoonists in Halifax, and two of the best in the world, Bruce McKinnon and Michael de Adder. Somebody in Toronto at the head office of Postmedia probably said, what are we doing with two expensive cartoonists there? Cut one. They just issue an order to Halifax. Cut one of your cartoonists. And it's embarrassing for the actual people who run the newspaper because they know how popular these guys are. But nevertheless, if they don't want to lose their job, they have to do it. So in a nutshell, that's what happened. I think Michael will be fine because he's a great cartoonist and he'll land somewhere else and things will be okay for him. But cartoonists all over the world are denouncing Postmedia, the company I work for. So how much more should I say?